Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, and here at the start of another week for a mat class. You want your normal mat items, and if you're new, I'll list them off for you. So a squishy ball or something for between the inner thighs, something that fits comfortably. A flex band is handy, but not strictly necessary. Same for the dumbbells. And really, all you need is yourself and the floor, but a mat is nice, and maybe a little extra cushion for under the bottom of your head. When you've gotten your kit together, go ahead and lie back and get comfortable. You can stretch out or not. So if you prefer to have your legs straight at first, that's fine. Really, the first thing that we do is just to become present in the breathing and use that as a vehicle for coming into the body. So our physical self and our intellectual, our emotional selves are all present at the same place and point in time. We'll inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth, rounding the lips unless that causes tension in the jaw or face. Breathing in through the nose, the inhale moves downward into the bottom of the lungs. And exhaling through the mouth, slow through the breath, feeling it rise through the crown of your head, metaphorically. And I talk a lot in images, so you'll feel the inhale ideally down into the deep part of your belly, even though that's not where your lungs are. And as the exhale lifts through the crown of the head, of course, your lungs aren't there either, you should feel a support building upward. That's quite real. Have one more breath in and out here, feeling its texture, being present moment by moment with it. And then bend the knees if they're straight and place a ball between them. With the ball between the knees, of course, you're lying down. I'm gonna sit up and so I can see you and demonstrate. You'll have long parallel lines from the hips downward into the feet. The bottoms of the feet are level with the floor and the arches are still present. The front of the pelvis is level to the ceiling as well as the face. And we feel all the natural curves in the spine, the up curve under the back of the neck and the low back, and the contact points with the mat, back of the head, ribs, shoulders, perhaps, and tailbone. Inhale through the nose. And as you exhale, begin to squeeze inward through the inner thighs very lightly, releasing that squeeze on your inhale. Focusing on the exhale, continuing to squeeze lightly but definitively through the inner thighs. And then releasing a little bit on the inhale without dropping the ball. Building stepwise into awareness as you exhale and squeeze the ball, feel like the bones in the bottom of the pelvis lengthen and gather across the base of pelvic floor. Inhale. Now all of this is subtle, so you're not crushing the ball, nor are you clamping the hips together, right? You'll recognize this gathering at the base of pelvic floor as a kegel, right? Now, even though you're releasing or softening the squeeze on the ball as you inhale, I'd like you to keep the kegel and feel that support building upward and inward toward the space behind the navel. Exhale, you squeeze, you lengthen, you gather. And inhale, soften the squeeze, keep the kegel and lift its support into your physical center. And continue here. Spinal posture is still neutral. And in fact, the only change you should experience to your posture is a feeling of release through your length, through the crown, through the base of the pelvis, and all points in between. Have 2 more breaths in and out. As we move into imprint and release, and I'll cue you there in a moment, all of the breath foundation that we've built remains in place. So we're layering. You'll feel that inward or lifted curve under your low back. Inhale here, apply your Kegel. As you exhale, begin to contract into the low belly in a way that pulls the low spine down toward the mat. As you inhale, allow the spine to release from its imprint. And as you exhale, repeat that imprint action. Releasing imprint on your inhale, you'll continue on your own breath pacing through subsequent repetitions. And the thing that we've layered here is the action of the lower abdominal muscles deep inside the pelvis. So inside the hip points, you'll contract those muscles to make your imprint, and then release length through those same muscles to allow a return to neutral. Do this 2 more times. Feeling the contraction as a scooping into the belly. Equally important to feel the length, the pubic bones rolling away lengthwise from the chest. 1 more, please. When you've returned to neutral, put your ball off to the side. Hug your knees into your chest. It's rather informal, and you'll find that as you bring your knees in with your arms, right, give yourself a hug, your low back will again flatten or stretch, and you'll get a stretch under the curve of your glutes, your back hips. If you like, you can nod your head, and only if you're unshrugging your shoulders, bend your upper spine forward so you're making kind of a little round shell shape. The moment you feel unpleasantness in the neck, though, let it go. And of course, you don't have to do that at all. Let's return the head to the mat if it's lifted, and then return the tailbone to the mat. Keep your imprint here, and before you release your legs, exhale, get that same defined contraction in the low abs that you had before. Once you're there, place the legs in tabletop, and instead of building tension in the chest, feel an increasing connection or strength or work in the lower abs. Here, without the ball, although you can use it if you like, we have a couple more breaths out. Squeezing the inner thighs, feeling the contraction of the lower abs, the gathering at the base of the pelvis. Inhale, lift pelvic floor energy inward and upward, releasing through the upper back. And exhale, squeeze another time. If you can keep your legs up and keep imprint, do. If you need to put your feet down, that's fine. Still keep imprint, please. We're going to, without the weights, extend arms forward to the ceiling and connect the lower belly muscles upward through the bottom of the ribs through length. When you're ready to go, inhale in preparation, find your Kegel. And then exhale, support your position as you release the arms back, extending the shoulders. Inhale, hold, and then exhale and return. Do 3 more. You've got your Kegel, you're using it as you inhale. You're reaching into length as you exhale, feeling the abdominal support, reaching upward into the bottom of the ribs. Free at the top of the chest and upper back. Exhale, return. Please continue through 2 more rounds, moving only on the exhale breath. Last repetition. Taking your time, making the most of it. And when you've completed it, reach the arms down and one more time, hug the knees in. So we had practice with that. We're going to do in a moment a little single leg stretch by way of a hip release or vice versa. So we've got the legs hugged in. You can rock a little, roll a little side to side. Then keeping your imprint, place the tailbone down on the mat. With the support of your arms, but not your neck, exhale, hug one knee in and stretch the other leg long. We do this to the other side. Inhale, find your Kegel. We're still imprinted. And then exhale, switch. We'll do this another time across the sides, roughly with the same breath pattern. And if you want to add any movement through either leg, you can do that. Sometimes a little circular movement. It doesn't have to be particularly constructed. Shake out the foot and then do the other one. And then give both knees a hug in. And guiding with your hands, laterally rotate from the hips until the knees come apart. Allow the feet to separate and get a stretch in the adductors, those inner thigh muscles that we were using and will continue to use. Bring the legs back together and imprinted still. Exhale, lower a foot and then the other. And roll over to lie on your side. You'll want a little extra padding under your head. I don't have that available today, but you can pretend I've got it. And maybe put a ball between the inner thighs. Our knees are bent, spine is neutral, the curves are present. You've got hips and shoulders stacked. And if you like to use a dumbbell for this, you can do that. When you're all set posturally, have an exhale where you squeeze the ball and feel both length and focusing in the base of the pelvis. Then lifting Kegel energy upward and inward. Inhale, turn the head upward, lift the arm. As you exhale, rotate open from the neck downward through the shoulder, the chest, the ribs, into the waist. Hold steady in the position of your hips and your legs. And on the next exhale, return. 3 more from this side, please. Inhale, turning the head upward. Exhale, opening. Feeling the sequential rotation through the length of your spine. Hold an inhale, unshrug the shoulder maybe. And then exhale, return. Last 2. Continue on your own pacing, paying attention to the details of your breath connection. Mediate the movement and the support externally from your obliques that wrap around the waist into the ribs. So that connection that we built upward from the low belly into the ribs is still present here. When you finish your last one, roll over to your second side. And we'll do the same thing from the other facing. Patting your head, do you find your posture, perhaps setting the ball between the inner thighs or the knees, opening the chest, taking your gaze forward, extending the arms in front of the shoulders, hands together. Exhale, prepare. And then inhale, turn the head upward, lift the arm. You know how this goes. Exhale, open. Feel strength increasing in the line of the waist, holding here, inhaling, and then using the muscles around the waist to bring you back to square. We have 3 repetitions. And ideally, with each subsequent repetition, we get a little bit more precision. Never initiating with a push from the back or from the shoulder blades. Never initiating with a pull from the neck. Precise in the inner thigh connection. Easy in the low back and outer hips. And when you've done your 4, come to hands and knees. Now, if you have a blanket or even a towel nearby, you can always pad under the heels of the hands or under the knees. Toes tucked or not, right? Untucked or tucked can give a good stretch for the toe beds. We're going to shift forward and back a little bit. Try and keep a neutral spine as you do this so that we are isolating the movement to the shoulders and the hips. We want to retain mobility there. And as you settle into a middle spot, find the orientation of ribs to shoulders by letting ribs drop forward and then glide back. Everything right in the golden middle. We kegel and inhale. And on the exhale breath, initiating from our center, begin to round the spine. Tailbone dropping, low back curving, middle back lifting, the rest of the spine spilling down through the crown of the head. Inhale here, press into your finger pads, stay active in your hands and forearms. Exhale, return through neutral, bottom of the spine to the top. And then inhale, as you open the chest, begin to extend the breastbone forward and upward. Release that and do 2 more rounds. Beginning at the base of your spine to lengthen and curve into your spooky cat position. Holding there, active through your hands and your forearms. Inhale, exhale, return through neutral, and then carry it into extension. Release and do this 2 more times. Mm-hmm. And of course, when you've completed all of your rounds, you can sit back, shake out your wrists or move them around a little bit. We'll lie down onto our backs and we'll save hip rolls for later. We're going to go directly into some more shoulder movement and then into ab prep. We'll keep our feet on the ground. We'll keep our spine neutral. You can put a ball between the knees. And then if you like to use dumbbells, this is a good place to use them. We've got the feet down, the spine is relatively well supported, and we can really focus on the mobility of the shoulders and the specific muscles in the shoulder girdle. So you've got your neutral spine. We'll extend the arms forward with or without the dumbbells. My fists are dumbbells here. Exhale and squeeze the ball lightly. Feel the connection upward into the ribs. And then on the inhale, extend the shoulders back, reversing the original breath that we used for this. We still return on the exhale after having squeezed the ball and felt the lengthening of our structure. And then continue reaching back on the inhale, feeling stretch and strength into the sides of the waist and ribs, returning with the support of those muscles, rather than pushing from the shoulder blades or the back of the neck. We have 2 more to do. And when you've done your last one, turn the inside of your wrist in the direction of your legs. We're going to do sort of wide arm push-ups here, only they're upside down. Prepare with an exhale. You'll have squeezed the ball. And on the inhale, bend your elbows and pull them back by your sides, maybe touching ground, maybe not. As you exhale and extend the arms forward, bring them parallel to each other from the shoulders. Inhale and open, feel the opening through the chest, the connection upstream into the ribs. And then exhale, activate chest muscles as you extend the arms forward. We do a set of 5 here. And so this is a lot about balance in the shoulder girdle. Can you support the position of the shoulder blades on the back and also contract the pec muscles to extend the arms in front without putting discomfort into the neck or using the neck itself to make this happen? When you've extended for the last time to the front, turn the wrists toward each other. And we do two more things here. Inhaling, bending the elbows, drop your fists back toward your shoulders. And exhale, squeeze the triceps in the back of the upper arms to extend elbows forward and long. We have 5 of these. Try not to apply the neck, right, or the upper chest muscles to this, specifically triceps, specifically support into ribs. When you've extended the last time, we have one more thing to do. On the inhale breath, open the arms to the side. And on the exhale breath, bring them forward. Shoulders have a lot of movement ability. Do 3 more, a total of 5. And so we're exploring all the ways that shoulders can move, or most of the ways, and how that relates to good support in our center. When you've done the last repetition, set your arms down by your sides. And if you can, place your hands on your low ribs. You can even cross if you like. So across the low ribs, coming from the sides of the waist, we've got our oblique muscles. And then I know you know this if you've been in my class. I want you to trace a path from the sides of the ribs inward and downward to the point of a V that ends just below the navel, 2 or 3 inches. All right, so when you contract these muscles bilaterally, both sides at the same time, it will pull your ribs down towards your pelvis and lift your shoulders and your head. We want to use these muscles in our forward bend now. Okay, we've established this. You can have arms long by your sides or hands supporting the back of your head. Remembering that we don't push the spine forward with the shoulders, we pull, in this case, from the obliques. Prepare for that by inhaling and nodding the chin downward, keeping the head on the mat. Now, as you exhale, squeeze the ball and bend forward. Feel the pull being initiated, sides of the ribs downward toward the low belly, passing below the navel. Hold the forward bend and inhale, comfortable in the neck, open through the chest. Exhale and lower down. Those same oblique muscles stretch to gently land your head and upper spine. Continue through a set of 6. Nodding on the inhale, obliques working on the exhale. And of course, we're still using our core. We're using the obliques like a lever. For a lever to work well, in this case, that lever lifting the weight of the upper body, it has to have a stable end. That stable end is that spot below your navel in your pelvis. Nice and steady there allows for precision and strengthening. Let's say finish the repetition you're on, and if you've got another one to go, take the time to do it. Beautiful. And then we remove or lower the head mat for hip rolls. We've inverted the position of hip rolls here. So we have the opportunity to stretch the low back and the front of the hips, which sometimes get a little tight as we go through successive ab preps. It also is going to wake up the back of the hips and the thighs. So think glutes, hamstrings, and bottom of the feet. So we're in our neutral. Our head is on the same plane as the rest of the spine or close to it. Inhale using your Kegel. As you exhale and squeeze the ball lightly, begin with your imprint and then continue that movement like you did in cat stretch, rounding through the spine now as each vertebra lifts in sequence. As you push down through the bottom of your feet, do that with your glutes. Come to that neutral hip position at the top, the front of the ribs, pelvis, and knees all lined up. Inhale at that point. Exhale, squeeze the ball and begin to roll down, softening through the chest, allowing the ribs to slide back, low back lands, and pelvis. Return to a complete neutral, and we do 2 more. Inhale in preparation, use your Kegel, level your feet, and exhale, squeeze the ball and roll up. Now, that it's not uncommon for these to take more than 1 round of breath. So continuing, moving on your exhale, 2, maybe 3 breaths to complete each phase of the movement. Rolling down now. And then 1 more. When you're down, put the ball off to the side, stretch your legs. And with your legs stretched, allow the pelvis to come to a nice level neutral position. Flex the feet, pulling the toes up and then pointing them away. As you flex the feet, retain your awareness of what's going on in the back of your hips. That's your glutes. The back of your thighs, there's your hamstrings. And in the activation of the arches from the calves as you point the feet and engage all the way down to the tips of your toes. End with pointed feet. And for a moment, inhale and exhale here, releasing across the low back, as well as through the front of your hips where your thighs join your pelvis. Inhale, exhale, sigh. And then go ahead and roll over onto your belly. We'll do prone extension. We're going to start with breaststroke prep number 1. So if you're unfamiliar with it, before you lie down, know that you're going to be in this kind of bent elbow, open hand position against the mat. We won't have a ball or anything, but we want to keep using those inner thighs. And as you point your feet, you're going to scooch your legs together as well as pull the legs long. So the front of the hips are disengaged again, nice and open and relaxed. Pointing those feet, stretch behind the knees and feel the whole back chain, glutes, hamstrings, calves, and feet, along with a light inner thigh and quad connection. Inhale, opening the chest, kegling. Now exhale and begin to extend the spine, breastbone reaching forward and upward without any closing of the chest. Bottom of the shoulder blades coming toward each other and moving down. We inhale, hold at the bottom of the ribs. And then exhale and return. Again, prepare, inhaling. Exhale, retain the tone and stretch through the legs, applying your core support to the extension. We keep the top of the shoulder blades and chest open, lightly gather the bottom of the shoulder blades down and into the bottom of the ribs. Inhale at the top, middle back working, and exhale to lower. Keep the shrug and irritation out of the upper shoulder blades and back of the neck. Do 2 more, please. Maintaining your breath connections. Acutely aware of your middle back muscles as well as the back chain of hips and legs. When you've lowered from your last one, rest. Let the shoulders and the legs and the back, the whole thing really go kind of limp, and turn your head to one side or the other. Doesn't matter where we start because we'll do both sides. And just have this gentle passive stretch through the side of the neck. One more breath cycle in and out. Return the head to center and keep your arms down by your sides. Do you re-engage the legs? We have another version of extension. We're going to do only 3 repetitions of it. So the thing you did with the legs, you can do again. We don't even need to repeat that. We stretch the front of the hips. We're active into the point of our toes. And then on the inhale, we lift up the arms along the side, squaring the shoulders. Hands, palms facing inward, reaching parallel to the ground. Now exhale, activate the middle back muscles and lift the top of the chest into a hover as you continue to extend forward into length through the crown. Hold and inhale, feet are on the ground, and then exhale and lower. Allow the arms to rest forward. Keep firm through the hips and the legs though, long through the waist. Kegel inhale, pick the arms up along the sides. Try to keep the arms horizontal in space. And as you exhale and rise, you'll feel increasing work in the triceps. Release the tension and pressure from the upper back and back of the neck. And exhale to lower, releasing arms forward. Please do 2 more of these. And 1 more time. Good, you guys. When you've done your last one, turn your head to the opposite side that you did the first time, allowing the arms and the legs to go slack, and finding again that passive stretch through the other side of the neck. Let all the tension drain out of the scalp, the face, the back of the neck and jawline. Exhale 1 more time. And then bring your head to center, place your hands under your shoulders, and sit back into shell. Shell looks a lot like child's pose. But we have it a little lifted from the floor. So it's like you started to do child's pose, but stopped halfway down. So we get a stretch through those middle back muscles. If you press a little into the ground with your fingers, you can move the shoulders down as you open the chest wide, still targeting the middle back in terms of stretch without crowding the neck. Nod the head yes, and turn it no. And then go ahead and sit up and swing your legs out in front of you. I'm going to lift my screen a little bit. We'll do a couple of sitting things here. And we're actually going to start with some twist. Now, sitting down flat on the floor can sometimes make the front of the hips a little triggered. Don't sit on the floor if that's your situation. We want no tightness here in this juncture. So you can sit up on a little pillow, a cushion, a chair, even have your feet flat on the ground. And we want a neutral spine. So instead of kind of rolling your bum underneath you and having kind of an imprint here, we want the pubic bones to be long and still engaged in the lower abs and in the upper abs. So internally through your core as well as externally through your obliques. Take a breath here and then extend the arms forward of the shoulders, palms up. That will externally rotate your shoulders and keep that joint a little bit more mobile and open. Before we twist, we're going to inhale and again reach the arms wide and be aware of the middle part of your shoulder blades and their relationship to each other across the back. Exhale, bring the arms forward, building support upward into ribs and feeling it in the chest. Do a couple more times. Inhale. Feel expansiveness across the shoulders, but support in the back. And then exhale, retain that openness in the chest as you support through your core and abs. 1 more time. Now, options here. We can have the hands together at the chest in some way, or you can open the arms again And lift the elbows a little bit as you turn the palms forward. Whichever you've chosen, you want this triangle between your head and the two shoulder tops across the chest to be consistent, constant in its position. We divide the exhale up into 3, preparing with an inhale, and then starting low in the belly, exhale, begin to turn to one side. Exhale again, turning through the middle of your waist. Exhale again, turning through the bottom of the ribs. And then inhale, return to center. Other side. Twisting, initiating from the bottom of the belly. Moving that connection upward behind the navel and then upward again into the bottom of the ribs. There's no skewing in the shoulders, no skewing in the halves of the ribs. Continue 3 exhales to build that twist upward from the base of your spine. Alternating across the sides, of course. Not using your hips to lock the pelvis down. Not using your shoulder blades to push the back. Complete your last repetition to the second side. And when you've done that, lower your arms and roll your shoulders a couple of times. All right, so in a moment, we're going to bend the knees and do half roll back. Before you do that, find that X across the front of the body, obliques, top and bottom, obliques, top and bottom. And I'm drawing an X because that is the way that the muscle fibers travel. If you use both of these things at the same time, it will make that cat-shaped curve through the spine. And we'll look at this now. We're going to start with some half roll back, isolating the lower part of your spine, but then we'll move into that more complete curve. So you're on your sitting bones. You might have a ball between your feet or between your knees. Feet are definitely grounded. You can have the arms extended forward. You can even have the palms upward if that external rotation is helpful. Steadying the relationship between head and shoulders across the chest and upper back. We exhale, squeeze the ball, and contract the lower abs, not the hips, to roll the spine back, creating a curve in the lower half of it. Inhale here, and then exhale, squeeze the ball, and return, feeling the pelvis moving forward toward the space between the hips and thighs. Continuing here, inhale in preparation, exhale, squeeze the ball, abs, not hips. It is the job of the abs to bend the spine, so let them do their work. Inhale here, top of the head and the shoulders upright. Exhale, squeeze, and feel the inner thighs into the lower abs, drawing the front of the pelvis toward the legs. Do 2 more. Now, when you return, you'll feel it in your lower abs, but it's that inner thigh, deep hip flexor connection that's working to bring your hips back into flexion. Don't be afraid of building that as well. When you've returned, allow your arms to lower. Roll your shoulders a couple of times. So that was all about those lower obliques. Now we're going to connect them upstream into the muscles that wrap around the ribs. We already talked about that a million times. I'm going to bore you guys. All right. So we start the same way, and we have an alternate position with the arms. You can have the hands together at the chest or maybe at the forehead. If you want to up level your challenge, have the arms reaching forward, either palms down or palms facing inward. It starts the same. We exhale and use the abs to bend the lower spine. Take that curve all the way up into the middle of the spine, bottom of the ribs roughly. And then if your arms are extended, inhale, lift them up. Feel support moving upward more clearly. On the exhale, everyone bends forward from the bottom of the ribs like you're doing an ab prep over your pelvis and legs. Forehead comes toward the knees. And then inhale, roll up, stacking over the sitting bones. Returning the arms to horizontal if they're extended. Now, if your hands are at your chest, it looks like this. We exhale, roll back. No drama for the neck. Stay here and inhale. Make sure you're kegling. Exhale, those upper obliques from the sides of the waist contract inward and downward to bend the upper back and bring the chest forward into the hands, the head forward toward the knees, and then inhale, stack up. Continue. Maybe your hands are at your forehead. Exhale. This is sort of an intermediate level of challenge. Roll back. Take a breath. And same as the other versions, you exhale, bend forward from the waist, not from the neck, not straining or pushing the shoulders. Inhale up. Please do one more of your favorite version. Don't use your hips to roll back. It's the job of the abs to bend the spine. And when you've rolled up or completed this one, lower your arms and shake it out. That's it. All right. We're going to return to the mat, belly down this time, or we've been there before. Hands under the forehead, or maybe the forehead supported by a blanket with your arms in some comfortable position. We will be extending from the hips. A chance to stretch out the abs and ideally to feel that they continue to support the front of your body as we open the hips up a little more, and it might feel like it's time for that, probably so. Both legs working together. We'll prepare here with that same little scooching, opening the front of the hips, pointing the toes, stretching behind the knees, the whole length of your legs engaged in that pull. Glutes as well. Lengthen upward into the ribs, stretch the sides of the waist, and on your next exhale, contract more through the glutes to lift the back of the thighs. So glutes connecting from the back of your bum into the top of your thigh bone. Now exhale and lower them down, releasing contraction. The length allows the legs to lower. Repeating, that's a lot of alliteration. Exhale, stretch, shortening into the glutes as you contract those muscles. It's like pulling a little guy wire up and into your center. Hold it there, but not in your low back. And then exhale, lower it down. 2 more times, please, practicing the specificity of this skill. And once more. Good. Allow your legs to relax. And we're going to continue to work into the glutes, stopping for a moment to engage more particularly through the inner thighs. So it's heel squeeze. You might want to have your ball nearby. It's an optional prop. And we're going to start with our legs apart to the outer edges of the mat. Yeah. And then turning the thighs laterally from the hip. So hip is right up inside your sitting bones. We're going to turn the thigh laterally until the heels face in and the toes point out. Now stretch behind the knees. Okay. Bend those knees until the heels come together and flex the feet. That's all the further you have to go. Although if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, you can put a squishy ball between your heels, and that'll cause you to work a little bit more on the timing as well. So we're looking for synchronous timing and equal strength activation. And on the exhale breath, we squeeze the ball from the inner thighs, releasing across the lower back. Inhale, soften the squeeze. Just like at the beginning when we were focusing on breath connection, exhale, squeeze the inner thighs, release the front of the hips. That's important too. Inhale, soften the squeeze. 2 more, please. inner thighs. Release. And last time, both inner thighs, both sets of inner thighs working at the same time. And release. Okay, now we return to the glutes, layering that on top of what we just did. On your exhale, you'll squeeze both sets of inner thighs equally. And then the glutes, shortening the distance between your glutes and the back of your legs so that the thighs rise up as you stabilize the pelvis. Inhale, hold, and exhale, lower down. Prepare again. Inhale, softening the squeeze somewhat, but keeping your Kegel. Exhale, both sets of inner thighs and then both sets of glutes, lifting up the back of your thighs as you stabilize your pelvis and stretch through your length. Hold on your inhale and exhale, lower, softening a little as you breathe in. Please do 3 more. Now you might feel your hamstrings. I hope you do. Your knees are bent, and that is the job of the hamstrings, so they will be working. You're going to feel the muscles under the bottom of the hips to keep rotation. And so long as you're bypassing the front of the hips, not clenching there to stabilize the pelvis, and using your abs, you're going to stay out of trouble with your low back. When you finished your last one, allow your legs to relax. And sit back into shell stretch when you're ready for that. The same stretch we did before, you start in that kind of halfway point and breathe there a little bit. And then if you like, you can take it a little lower, more toward child's pose, so that you get a little bit better stretch through the back of the hips, which you were just using like crazy a moment ago. So that will probably feel nice. All right, you guys, another couple of breaths. And of course, you can move your head around, you can move your shoulders around. And then we return through center. And go ahead and lie down on your back on the mat.
With a mat? I mean, something under head or no?
Oh, yeah, something under your head is fine. Thank you for asking. I forgot to say that. We're going to do scissors. And in scissors, you can choose to lift your head forward, or you can simply keep your head back on the mat. So that's another good reason for having comfortable support under your head. Lie in place for a moment. We don't want any ball here because we're going to be lifting our legs up and doing various things. So take a moment to catch your breath, allowing relaxation to put neutral posture into the spine, and return for a moment to that initial breathing, inhaling downward through your length and exhaling upward and down through the chain of the legs. We keep our Kegel as we inhale, and the exhale causes a release into length. Breathe in one more time, ready for imprint. And this time as you exhale, contract the lower abs, lengthening and flattening the lower back toward ground. Before you go further, make sure that the back of the ribs haven't shifted upward off the mat. You're not straining the neck or the shoulders. We let everything settle into the supportive ground. And on the next exhale, float one leg up into tabletop. That's the first time we've done this approach this morning. Second leg comes up the same way, pushing off the foot. And once the feet are up, hold on to the back of your thighs. You can even hug the knees in briefly if you'd like to. Okay, so for scissors, you might already intuit that it's going to be a nice stretch for the legs. Contract into the abs, place the legs into that specific tabletop position. And then extend upward from the knees. As you extend the knees, you're going to feel the quads working, but it should be more toward the middle and lower part of the quads rather than up in the hips. If that triggers the hips, you can bend the knees a little bit. We do point the toes. If you're going to bend forward from the mat, open the chest and nod your chin downward. And then as you exhale, bend forward, lifting the chest. Inhale in preparation, and then exhale. Split the legs front to back. Add an extra exhale pulse. Inhale, switch, and exhale. Inhale, switch, exhale, exhale. Inhale, switch, exhale, exhale. Keep going. That little pulse at the bottom should not be translated into a tightening of your jawline or your neck, but it should be a little extra juice in your low abs going, a little extra length in your low back and the front of your hip. Balance it out side to side and do 2 more in each direction, please. When you're even across the sides and the legs are vertical, go ahead and bend the knees to tabletop and then exhale, lower your head down. Place the feet one at a time into the ground and allow the pelvis to return to neutral. Okay. Another breath or two here, and we will go into one leg circle, so you might want to find your flex band. Ideally, we will have stretched both the front and back of the hips out a little bit, put some relief into the spine from all of that prone work. And we're going to mobilize the hips in a circular way as we stabilize the spine. Okay. And of course, you can have a head mat here as well. Keeping a neutral spine, I'd like you to exhale and point through one foot and pick the leg up. Right. Now, you don't have to use a flex band, but if you're going to use a flex band to guide the leg around, you're going to go ahead and put it around the sole of the foot, a little cheat here before placing it back into your position. All right. Now, if you're using a flex band, keep the foot flexed as well so so the flex band doesn't slide off. And then go ahead and stretch that lifted leg upward. You want to take it to the limit of where you can go using your quad muscles for support of the stretch of the knee. If your knee is a little bent, that's fine. Bottom leg can stay where it is, or if you're able to maintain neutral posture, slide down the mat. That bottom leg, I want you to think of as your standing leg. And as you inhale, take the top leg across to the opposite side of the body. As you exhale, take the leg down, out to the side, and up over to your starting position. 5, please. Inhale to initiate. Exhale to stretch through your circle, ending where you started. And of course, if you're not using your flex band, the path is the same. We want to minimize tension in the shoulders. Well, tension anywhere, and use good muscular support to both guide the movement and stabilize the posture. Now, after 5, you'll reverse. Same leg. It goes out to the side to the inhale to begin, and exhale, circle in the other sense. 5 here, please. When you've done that one in both directions, equal number of time, put the flex band down, put the foot on the floor, and have a breath in and out, stable and neutral, grounded through your feet. Ready to move on. Exhale and lift your other leg up. And you know already if you're going to use your flex band, so place it if you are. And then with or without the flex band, stretch the knee a couple of times, making sure that you feel good support in the thigh muscles for the extension of the knee, wherever that is. Bottom leg adjusts down or stays put, And with a neutral spine, you inhale, take the top leg across to the other side, and exhale, make your circle. We have 5. Especially if you're using your flex band, make sure that you're not gripping your neck or upper back in an effort to support the weight of the leg. Yeah. Good, you guys. Nice and smooth around the contour of the hip. When you've done 5, you know to reverse. Inhale out to the side and exhale to circle. Beautiful. Stretching the leg away as you center the top of your thigh bone in your hip. We've got it. And when you've done your last one, take the flex band off your foot, put your foot on the ground. And we all catch up with each other here. Find the ball and put it between your knees and remove your head mat. We do just a little bit of bridging here, and this is really a transition or a bridge to support and standing. Right, so ball between the knees. The posture is neutral. The feet are grounded, level with the floor. Of course, the arches are supported and active. Turn the palms up, right, and let the shoulders roll back out of the chest. And on your exhale breath, squeeze the ball lightly. Feel that the feet are still level, the shoulders are still soft. Find that Kegel and inhale, draw it upward into the body without activating the neck. And then the next time you exhale, push directly down into your feet from your glutes. And without changing the shape of your spine, extend your hips, lifting up. And you'll pivot across the back of the shoulders. Hold at the top, keeping your weight in your hips and your legs. And then exhale and lower down. We're only going to do 3, right? Because we are going to take it to standing. With the hips on the ground, Kegel and inhale. And then exhale, continue into your bridge, squeezing and supporting your posture. All the way up. Inhale there, still supporting with pelvic floor as well. And then exhale and lower. Neutral down. And then one more repetition. Pressing up with your legs. And lowering down with your breath. Put your ball off to the side. Drop your knees off to each side once or twice, and then come to standing. Our standing finish is brief, and if you can stay for it, do. If you got to rush off, I understand we did start just a little bit late. So if you can spare an extra minute, let's finish out the hour in our standing position. All right, I think you can see me. Yeah. Peek down and find your feet. You want them parallel to each other, soles of the feet grounded, arches lifted, pelvis flat to the wall in front of you, the chest supported over top the hips and the head over top the chest. As you inhale now, keep your spine vertical and neutral and bend your knees, allowing yourself to slide down, not super deeply. Now, as you exhale, push from your ground upward, extending the hips, stretching long in space. Inhale, drop the breath down into the feet. And from the feet, exhale upward through your crown. And as you stretch the legs, your thigh muscles become active. Your glutes work to extend the hips, and that support travels upward through the crown. We do 3 more. Now, some of you might prefer to take it more deeply, and I understand that's fine. Make sure that when you extend, you come into that lengthened vertical stretch. Continue through the last two. Now the last one, we'll stay in our squat or plie. Inhale, and I'll face sidewards. Place your hands to your lap and go a little bit more deeply so that you can exhale and complete a final cat stretch, rounding through the spine. Here, inhale, keeping the bend of the knees, extend, opening the chest, freeing up the neck. And then exhale, round once more, free to hang forward over the legs if you like. Continuing to bend the knees, nod yes and no, shake the shoulders. Now push down through the soles of your feet, Kegel inhale, and exhale, unfurl. Stacking over your legs, straightening them, lifting and lengthening your spine. Take the gaze forward, palms forward, inhale. And exhale in a sigh. Nice work, you guys. We're finished this morning. I'll turn the recording off and we'll see you next time.